Cooling a home through summer quietly drains more money than most people realize, and a good chunk of that bill is pure waste, not comfort. Not because your equipment is broken, not because summers are hotter than they used to be, but because most homes are set up in ways that fight the heat wrong, and most of what the cooling industry tells you to do is designed to keep you buying, not to keep you comfortable for less. I have been paying close attention to this for a long time. I have watched friends and neighbors, careful, smart people, spend money every summer on things that either don't work or barely move the needle. And I have tested enough of these methods in a real home, with real utility bills, to know which ones actually cut costs and which ones are just good-sounding ideas. If you want to go deeper on what I cover today, the full guide is available right now. The QR code is on the left side of your screen. Just open your phone's camera app and point it at that code on the left, and it takes you straight there. That same QR code stays pinned in the top right corner for the rest of the video, so there's no pressure to grab it now. It'll be there whenever you're ready to keep going beyond what I can fit into this video. Now, here is the honest truth about cooling costs that nobody with something to sell wants you to hear. Most of the money people spend to stay cool goes toward fighting symptoms instead of fixing causes. A bigger air conditioner does not fix a leaky, under-insulated home. It just runs longer and costs more. A smart thermostat does not save you much if your windows are letting the afternoon sun pour straight into your living room. And those expensive energy-efficient window units? They help, but they are often the last thing that should be upgraded, not the first. Research from building science and energy efficiency fields consistently shows the same thing. The single biggest opportunity to cut a cooling bill is not in the equipment, it is in the building itself. The envelope, the shell, how well the house holds the cooler air in and keeps the hot air out. That is where most of the savings are sitting, untouched. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what I do, and what I have stopped doing, to keep cooling costs as low as possible through the hottest months. We are going to cover everything from what to do this week for almost nothing, to what is worth spending a little money on, to the one thing almost everyone gets completely backwards. I'll walk you through 8 real strategies, and I'll tell you plainly which ones move the needle most. Let's start where the biggest opportunity lives, and that is in air sealing. Most people have heard the word insulation and think of fluffy pink material in the attic. But before insulation can do its job, the air gaps have to be closed. Hot outside air is persistent. It will find every crack around a door frame, every gap where a pipe comes through a wall, every old weather strip that has gone flat and stiff over the years. That air pours in, and your cooling system runs longer trying to fight it. The fix is not glamorous, but it is powerful. A tube of paintable caulk runs about $4 or $5. A roll of foam weather stripping for doors costs around the same. Walk your home slowly. Feel along the bottom edges of exterior doors. Check the seals around window frames. Look at where pipes or wires come through walls from outside. If you can feel a draft, or if a thin piece of tissue flutters when you hold it near the gap, you have a leak worth sealing. This is weekend work. It costs almost nothing, and it is the most cost-effective thing most people can do. I have seen folks cut meaningful dollars off a monthly bill just from this one step. No new equipment, no contractor, no hassle. The second strategy is window management, and this one is where I see the most backwards thinking. Many people open their windows during the day to let in the breeze. That feels good. It is also often counterproductive during the hottest part of a summer day. Here is how I think about it. Windows are your biggest vulnerability to solar heat gain. South and west-facing windows in particular let afternoon sun pour heat directly into the room. A single west-facing window in the afternoon can raise the temperature in that room noticeably, and your air conditioner then works overtime to bring it back down. The old-fashioned approach was heavy drapes or shutters closed during the day on the sunny side. That still works. Cellular shades, the honeycomb kind, add a meaningful layer of insulation and block a good portion of solar heat. Reflective films applied to the glass work even better. The flip side of this strategy is that overnight, once temperatures drop, you can open windows on opposite sides of the house and let the cooler night air flush through. close everything again before it warms up in the morning. This rhythm, open at night, closed and shaded by day, is how people kept homes livable long before central air existed. Strategy 3 is ceiling fans, and there is one thing most people do not know about them. A ceiling fan does not cool a room. It cools you. The moving air creates a wind chill effect on skin, which makes you feel several degrees cooler without actually lowering the air temperature. That distinction matters because a lot of people run ceiling fans in empty rooms, which is just wasting electricity. Run fans where people are sitting. Turn them off when you leave, and check the direction. In summer, a ceiling fan should spin counterclockwise when you are looking up at it, pushing air straight down. Most fans have a small switch on the housing to change direction. If yours has been set wrong for years, flipping that switch is free and instant. Now, strategy 4 is the one I promised you earlier that most people get backwards, and it involves your thermostat and when you cool. The common advice is to set the thermostat a few degrees higher when you leave the house, and then cool it back down when you return. That is solid general advice. But the mistake I see over and over is people thinking it takes more energy to cool a house back down than it saves by letting it warm up. That idea is not accurate. A warmer house loses heat gain more slowly once it reaches the outside temperature, so letting it warm during the day genuinely does save energy. You can use a simple programmable thermostat. They run as little as $20 or $25 to do this automatically. Set it to begin cooling about 30 minutes before you typically get home. That small delay makes a real difference over a full summer of bills. If you're thinking about strategies like these for your specific home situation and want to go deeper than I can here today, that's exactly the kind of thing the guide is designed for. The QR code is still up in the top right corner of your screen. Just open your camera app, point it at the top right, and it'll take you right to it. Strategy 5 is attic ventilation and radiant barriers. This is where a bit of investment can pay off over several summers. An attic in full summer sun can reach extreme temperatures, well above what is happening outside. That heat radiates down through the ceiling into your living space, and your air conditioner works constantly against it. A well-ventilated attic, with proper intake vents at the soffits and exhaust at the ridge, lets that heat escape instead of baking down into the house. If your attic ventilation has been neglected, improving it is worth looking into. A step further is a radiant barrier, a reflective material stapled to the underside of the roof decking. It reflects radiant heat rather than absorbing it. Many homeowners and builders have found these make a noticeable difference in how much the living space heats up during the day. The installation is a project, but the material itself is not expensive per square foot, and it is the kind of thing that keeps working quietly for many years. Strategy 6 is about reducing the heat you create inside the house, and this one is underestimated. Every appliance that runs creates heat. Your oven, your dryer, incandescent lights, even your refrigerator condenser. On a hot day, baking a casserole at 4 in the afternoon adds meaningful heat to your kitchen, and your air conditioner pays for it twice. Once to remove the heat from the oven, once to remove the heat the oven added to the room. I shifted most of my cooking on very hot days to early morning or evening. I use the microwave and the stovetop instead of the oven when I can. I run the dryer in the evening. These habits sound small. Over a summer, they add up. If you replaced incandescent bulbs with LEDs years ago, good, that already helped, since LED bulbs put out far less heat per bulb. If you have any incandescents still running, swapping them is one of the few things that genuinely pays back quickly, both in electricity and in less heat load. Strategy 7 is cross-ventilation and whole-house fans. In climates where nights cool down significantly in summer, and many parts of the country do, a whole-house fan is one of the most powerful tools available. It is mounted in the ceiling, typically in a hallway, and it pulls air from open windows through the house and exhausts it into the attic, which then vents outside. Run it for an hour or two on a cool night and it can drop the indoor temperature significantly. And that thermal mass of cooler air in the walls and floors and furniture takes hours to warm back up the next day. The result is that the air conditioner runs less and kicks on later in the day. These fans are not the same as attic fans, which only move attic air. A whole house fan moves living space air, and it works remarkably well in the right climate. The installation is a real project, but the fan itself is not an extreme expense, and the payback in reduced cooling costs can be meaningful over just 1 or 2 summers. At this point, we're about 2/3 of the way through, and I want to make sure you know about the community here. If you have questions or want to share what works in your climate, the comments are always a good place to do it. And if this kind of practical, money-saving content is what you are looking for, subscribing means you won't miss the next one. Strategy 8 is landscaping and exterior shading. This is the long game, but it is worth mentioning because the folks who planted trees on the south and west sides of their homes 20 or 30 years ago are now paying noticeably less to cool their houses than neighbors with bare, sun-baked walls and windows. A mature deciduous tree on the west side of a house, the side that catches the brutal late afternoon sun, can shade a wall and window enough to make a real difference in how hard the cooling system has to work. Deciduous trees are ideal because they leaf out in summer when shade is needed and drop leaves in winter when you want the sun's warmth. If you cannot plant trees immediately, exterior shades, awnings, and pergolas do the same work faster. A properly sized awning over a south or west-facing window can reduce the solar heat entering that window dramatically. These were standard features on homes built before air conditioning made them seem optional. They work. They are worth revisiting. Now, here is the strategy most people overlook completely, and it is arguably the most important one of all. Maintenance on the cooling equipment itself. A central air conditioner or heat pump with a dirty coil runs longer and costs more for every hour it operates. Replacing the air filter on schedule, every 1 to 3 months depending on the filter and your household, is the simplest maintenance task there is. A clogged filter restricts airflow and makes the whole system labor harder. The outdoor condenser unit needs clear airflow around it. Trim back any shrubs or growth that has crept close over the years. Keep it clean. And having the system inspected by a technician every couple of years lets a professional catch things like low refrigerant or a dirty coil before they quietly drive up your bill all summer without you knowing why. One more thing worth saying. Window units and portable air conditioners are often the least efficient way to cool a large space, but they can be the right tool for cooling one room that is genuinely too hot. The mistake is running them on high constantly and expecting to cool the whole house through one room. Use them for what they do best, targeted cooling in a closed space, and they make more sense. If any of this has you thinking about going further, the guide covers all of this in more depth than I can fit into one video. Just open your camera app and point it at the QR code that's been sitting in the top right corner of your screen, and it's right there waiting for you whenever you're ready. Let me pull this together plainly. The cooling bill for most households is higher than it needs to be, not because of bad equipment, but because the home is working against itself. Air leaks let the hot air in. Unshaded windows let the sun heat the rooms directly. Fans run in empty spaces. Appliances add heat at the wrong time of day. Equipment runs with a dirty filter. These are fixable things, most of them at low or no cost. If I were going to lay out a simple action plan, here is what I would do. This week, check the weather stripping on every exterior door and the caulk around windows. Replace anything that has gone soft or cracked. That alone is worth doing. This month, look at your window coverings on the south and west sides of the house. If you have bare glass in the afternoon sun, add cellular shades, a film, or an exterior awning. Check the air filter in your HVAC system and change it if it is due. Adjust your ceiling fans to spin counterclockwise and turn them off when rooms are empty. Over the season, run your thermostat a bit higher during the day, pre-cool in the evening when rates may be lower, and open windows overnight when the air cools down. Reduce your use of the oven and dryer during the hottest hours. There is no product here to buy that fixes all of this. There is no service call, no gadget, no upgrade that substitutes for the basics done right. The cooling industry does not profit from teaching folks to close their blinds and seal their doors. But these habits, many of them passed down from people who had no choice but to be careful, genuinely work. And they keep working summer after summer without a bill attached. If you have a tip that works in your home, something you learned from a parent or figured out over years in your own house, I would love to hear it in the comments. The best knowledge on this topic is often sitting in people who have been paying attention for decades. If you are not subscribed yet and this kind of content is useful to you, please do subscribe. There is more on the way about keeping a home running well without overpaying for it. And the next video I would point you to is about the hidden ways your home loses energy in winter. A lot of the same principles apply, just in the opposite direction. A warm home in summer should not mean an empty wallet. Keep the heat out, cool what matters, and let the smart old habits do the work.